Hello everybody, welcome back to Smugglers MMA, where I'll be giving my main card predictions for UFC Fight Night, Dricus du Plessis versus Kamaru Usman. That being said, let's get straight into the main card, with the main card opener being Tommy McMillan versus Alberto Montez. Now, Tommy McMillan has really solid striking, and he's got really solid wrestling. He was a three-time state champion in wrestling, but I do worry for his defense. It's kind of like non-existent. Like he does kind of overextend on his striking and leave himself open to counters. On the Contender Series, he actually did in a clinch get cracked by an elbow, so I am worried about that. But that being said, he does have the height and the reach advantage, so that could very well help him in this fight. Considering Alberto Montez, he also has like solid boxing, solid Muay Thai. In his last UFC fight, he had a really good, or his Contender Series fight, he had a really good elbow that like hurt his opponent, and he was able to get a sub finish. And I like Montez in this fight. I think he can get him to the ground if he stuns McMillan, which I think he will. And I would take Alberto Montez by round one sub. Really good, solid boxing, really good Muay Thai. If you try to shoot on him, he's going to hit you with a Darce, an Anaconda, guillotine. And I like him going into this fight. That being said, our next matchup is Tabitha Ritchie versus Fatima Klein. Tabitha Ritchie, she's kind of just like an aggressive, sloppy striker, in my opinion. She doesn't have the height, she doesn't have the reach for it, so it makes sense on why she decides to fight like that. Her grappling is, I mean, good, but like she doesn't really ever use it. And I think Klein's is so much better on the feet, more technical. In her second to last fight, she had a really good high kick that led to a finish. She has really good kicks in general. I like Klein by 30-27, just dominant decision. I think Richie's going to try to shoot, try to do stuff, try to hold her against a cage. I don't think it's going to work. I think Klein would be too big, too just powerful, and better on the feet to get this done. That being said, our next matchup is Chase Hooper versus Ramirez, excuse me. Give me Chase Hooper by round one sub. I don't like either of these fighters. I think Mitch Ramirez is just bad. He's 0-2 in the UFC. Chase Hooper also leaves a lot to be desired. Has a bad chin. Is kind of decent on the feet. Really good grappling. But I don't think any of these two will be much in the future, but that is just my opinion. That being said, our next matchup, our co-main event, is Jared Cannonier versus CLD, Leroy Duncan. That being said, I think Jared Cannonier is he's old. He's old. He doesn't have the reach. Kind of small for the division. His wrestling, I mean, it's good. He does hold people against the cage, but his last performance against DDP, or MVP, excuse me, was not good. He was getting clowned on pretty much. He rarely could ever take down MVP. Who, I mean, MVP isn't really known to be like a big, massive guy that could stop you from taking you down. And he still struggled to get MVP down. The only round where he did really like take him down and control him was in the third round because of a slip by MVP. And striking wise, his defense is really bad. He has dropped in his last two fights. He did win his second to last fight, which has turned into a great win. But I just don't like his chances for this fight. I think Leroy Duncan is very fast, he's very agile, so much better on the feet. I think he'll be able to shove off Cannonier if he does try to shoot. And I think I like Leroy Duncan to win this fight by round two TKO. I just think he's so much better. I think Jared Cannonier after this fight should retire. There's not much he can do in this division. And yeah, I think it was a solid career from Cannonier. Now, with that being said, let's get straight into our main event, which is DDP versus Kamaru Usman. Usman's coming off the win of Buckley. Buckley just sadly isn't good. He has good striking, but even then, his wrestling is terrible. You get like 30-25 by Sean Brady. So in hindsight, that win isn't great. Isn't even really kind of good either. And he's older. I just don't like Kamaru's Usman's for this chance. I think DDP is a far better striker. I don't think, you know, DDP's gonna have too much. I won't say too much trouble, but as much trouble as he was in with Hamzat in this fight with Kamaru. I mean, Usman did almost beat or draw Hamzat, on short notice. But I just don't like his chance. I mean, he sat out for like a year. He hasn't really done anything. I mean, he's trying to go for double champ, so if he does get this win, that would be great, for him to maybe get a title shot. He already does have a win against Sean Strickland at welterweight, but I think this is pretty much the end for Usman. I'm gonna take DDP by plot armor in the fourth round to get a. I'm gonna say I'll go sub. I'll take DDP by sub in the fourth round somehow. He'll plot armor his way through. Now, with that being said, thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and goodbye.